If your haircut suddenly feels heavier, flatter, or older than you remember, it may not be your face that changed. It may be the shape of your hair. Because after 60, some haircuts can visually pull the face downward, make fine hair look thinner, and create heaviness exactly where you do not want it. But the right haircut can do the opposite. It can lift the eyes, soften the jawline, create more movement around the face, and make fine or thinning hair appear noticeably fuller. Today, I'm showing you ×3 haircuts that can make women over 60 look fresher and more modern, and 3 popular cuts I would be very careful with. And the last haircut to avoid is one many women specifically ask their stylist for, because they think it will make thin hair look thicker. But very often, it does the opposite. Let's begin. Before we continue, I also created a complete 60+ hair guide with flattering haircut ideas, styling fixes for fine hair, and simple salon tips you can take with you to your next appointment. If you'd like to check it out, you'll find the product link in the first pinned comment below. Now, let's begin with mistake number 1. Haircut to avoid #3, the heavy one-length bob. A bob can be beautiful after 60. But there's a big difference between a modern bob and a heavy one-length bob that sits like a solid block around the face. The problem usually begins when all the weight sits near the jawline. Instead of creating lift, the haircut creates a strong horizontal line. And if your hair is fine, that heavy shape can make the crown appear even flatter. This is especially noticeable when the bob curves inward on both sides. The hairstyle can become very round, very controlled, and visually heavy. What should you do instead? Keep some softness through the front, a slightly longer face framing piece, gentle movement around the cheekbones, or subtle lift through the crown can transform the same basic bob. You do not necessarily need more layers. You need better weight placement. Ask your stylist, I want the perimeter to stay full, but I don't want the haircut to sit heavily around my jaw. That gives you density without creating a helmet-like shape. Younger looking cut. #3, the soft angled bob. Now compare that with a soft angled bob. This haircut keeps fullness through the ends, but the front is slightly longer than the back. That small angle creates visual direction. Instead of your eye moving straight across the face, it moves diagonally. That can make the haircut feel lighter and more modern. The back can also have a little lift without becoming stacked or overly layered. For women with fine hair, this is especially useful because you can preserve the density of the perimeter while still creating shape. The key word is soft. You do not want an extreme dramatic angle. You want just enough difference to create movement. A side-swept fringe or gentle face framing section can make this even more flattering. Haircut to avoid. #2, too many short layers. Layers are probably one of the most misunderstood parts of mature haircuts. Many women with fine hair are told, you need layers for volume. And sometimes that is true. But there is a point where layering removes so much hair that the style starts looking thinner instead of fuller. Short layers all over the crown can create temporary lift. But if the ends become weak and transparent, you have simply moved the problem. You may have height on top, but very little density underneath. This can be especially unflattering on shoulder-length hair. The ends begin looking wispy. The shape loses structure. And the haircut can become difficult to style without lots of product. What you want instead is strategic layering. A few carefully placed layers can create movement. But you still want enough hair through the lower part of the cut to create visual fullness. Younger looking cut #2, the collarbone lob. If you want to keep some length, the collarbone lob is one of the safest and most versatile choices. It gives you enough length to feel feminine and flexible, but it removes the tired, weak ends that often make longer, fine hair look thinner. The best version usually sits around the collarbone or slightly above it. That length gives the hairstyle movement without pulling the entire shape downward. You can add subtle face-framing pieces beginning around the cheekbone or jaw. And if your hair has a natural wave, this haircut can work beautifully with it. The important part is keeping the ends healthy and relatively full. You do not want excessive thinning. You want movement through the middle of the haircut while protecting the perimeter. This is a great haircut for women who are not ready for a bob or pixie, but still want a noticeable refresh. # haircut to avoid. #1. The rounded granny cut. This is the haircut I would be most careful with, and it is not because short hair is aging. Short hair can look incredibly modern. The problem is a specific shape. It is short around the head, very round through the sides, flat or slightly puffed at the crown, with every section curling neatly inward. There is no strong direction, no movement, no face framing. Everything forms one round silhouette. That shape can make the face look wider and the hairstyle feel dated. It is also one of those cuts that can look very different from what a woman imagined when she asked for something short and easy. The solution is not necessarily to grow your hair. The solution is to break up the roundness. Add some crown lift. Create a side-swept fringe. Taper the area around the ears. Let some pieces move instead of curling every section inward. Those small changes can modernize the entire haircut. # younger looking cut #1. The soft modern pixie bob. My #1 choice is the soft modern pixie bob. It gives you the ease and lift of a pixie, but keeps enough length through the top and front to create softness. That longer front section is important. It allows the hair to sweep across the forehead or move around the cheekbones. The crown can be lightly elevated, the sides remain controlled, and the back can be tapered without looking severe. For women with fine hair, this style can create a much fuller-looking silhouette because you are removing unnecessary length while keeping strategic volume. It also works beautifully with gray or silver hair. The natural variation in silver tones makes the texture and movement more visible. The biggest mistake would be cutting the top too short. You want enough length to create movement. Ask your stylist. I want a soft pixie bob with lift at the crown and longer pieces around the front. I don't want it too round or too cropped. That one request can completely change the result. #. 3 things to tell your stylist before your next appointment. Remember these 3 phrases. First, I want fullness, but not width around my cheeks. Second, please protect the density through my ends. And third, I want movement around my face, not a perfectly round shape. Those 3 ideas apply to almost every haircut we discussed today, because the goal after 60 is not simply to cut your hair shorter. It is to create the right balance between lift, softness, movement, and density. And if you'd like more help choosing flattering cuts and styling fine or mature hair, I've put together my 60+ hair guide with hairstyle ideas, styling fixes, and simple salon tips you can use before your next appointment. You'll find the product link in the first pinned comment below. And now, I would love to hear from you. Which of these 6 haircuts surprised you the most? And is there one you are thinking about trying next?